it's Red. So today I'm going to be listing my TBR for the Chills and Thrills Readathon. Now normally I never do TBRs, and there is a reason for this. That is because I generally don't know what I'm reading. I absolutely cannot plan what I'm going to read because I never know when I'm going to feel like reading. So I know that I would deviate from that list a lot, basically rendering any TBR videos I would ever make obsolete. However, since I am participating in this Halloween readathon, I decided that I would show you guys the books I plan to read this week. Now I realize that it might be a little overambitious to think that I'm going to get through all of these in a week. I do not plan to get through all of these in a week, but I like to have plenty set up so that if I get extraordinarily lucky and somehow have time to read all of these, I will have plenty to choose from. Now the first one I plan to read is The Unbecoming Amaro Dyer by Michelle Hodkin. I have heard so much about this book. I've heard it's super creepy and super weird, and I just couldn't think of a better book to read for Halloween, so I will be starting with this, and I will be buddy reading it with Brittany from Brittany's Book Find, and I'm so excited to read this. I'm having a hard time just containing myself. I've had a hard time putting this book off for the month because I was saving it for this readathon and it was difficult, so go self-discipline. When I get through that one, I will start Horns by Joe Hill. This book is actually coming out as a movie, and it features Daniel Radcliffe and Juno Temple, and it looks super amazing. I've had a few people talk to me about this book, and it just sounds so weird and so off the wall, and that's right up my alley. Basically, it's about a guy who gets accused of raping and murdering his girlfriend. Now, the whole town thinks that he committed this crime, and he has to find who really killed his girlfriend. Meanwhile, horns start to grow out of his head. Yep, horns start to grow out of his head. Now, that's all I really know about the book, but that is all it takes for me. I cannot wait to get to this. The next book on my TBR is The Devil in the White City by Erik Larson. Now, I'd seen this around BookTube a couple of times, but I didn't actually know anything about it. So I was at this new and used bookstore when I recognized the cover. Again, not knowing anything about it other than the fact that I've seen this cover before. So I picked it up and decided to read the back of it. Basically, this book takes place in 1893 Chicago. So it centers around the World Fair, and it kind of, from what it sounds like it alternates between the architect behind the World Fair as well as a serial killer who takes advantage of the World Fair to lure victims to their death. Now, this is not entirely fictional. This is actually about a real event and real people. This serial killer was a real serial killer. So I bought this under the hopes that it was about H.H. Holmes, who I am totally fascinated with. I've read a lot on him in the past. So once I got home with this book, I did more research on it to find out that yes, it is about H.H. Holmes, and I'm just that much more excited to read this book. If you guys don't know who H.H. Holmes is, basically, he built this elaborate hotel in Chicago during the World Fair, and guests that would come to stay there, he would torture and he would murder, and this whole hotel is just a chamber for torture. Basically, it's under the guise of a regular place to stay. It's just, I am so excited to read this. It is ridiculous that I'm wondering why I put it so far down my TBR, but I think it's because I really want to read those other two books. But I'm really, really excited, and I really hope I get to this. The fourth one on my TBR list, which I'll be lucky if I get to, but you know, you never know, and that is A Girl of Nightmares by Kendare Blake. This is a sequel to Anna Dressed in Blood. I do want to read this, but I'm not jumping out of my skin dying to read it. I'm just not. A lot of people really, really loved Anna Dressed in Blood, and I liked it. I did like it, but I feel like the hype was way more than the book. I don't know. I just did not find the book that creepy. I feel like it didn't get that good till later on. I feel like it took way too long to actually get interesting. So that's why I'm not jumping up and down ready to read this book, but I still want to read it, so you know, if I get to it, I get to it. And finally, and this is number 5 in this video, but it would probably replace Girl of Nightmares, just because I'll probably put Girl of Nightmares last, because again, that's the one I'm least excited to read out of all these. Anyway, so the last one on my TBR list today is 172 Hours on the Moon by Johan Harstad. I don't know that I pronounced his name right. I'm sorry I keep bouncing this around. I really have bad habit of just be like, Anyway, normally I am not into aliens. Aliens are not my thing. Currently I'm actually reading Obsidian by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and that's only because it took a lot of bugging from my friends to finally get me to read it, because I'm just not into aliens. But this one, when I heard about this book, I was interested from the start. I don't really know what it's about other than some, being on the moon and they encounter aliens or moon alien creatures. I don't know, but it's supposed to be super creepy and super scary, and honestly, I absolutely adore this cover. This is just the coolest effing cover to me. I don't know, I adore this, and I've heard it's supposed to be really scary, so I am willing to give it a shot, and I think it's the first time I am actually excited to read an alien book. Not an alien person, but I'm excited to read this book. So that is all for this TBR list. I am so excited to read this book. Like, you have no idea. I feel pretty confident that I'm actually going to follow this TBR list because scary and horror and Halloween are just my thing. I never get tired of it. I really don't. So I am not worried about losing interest in these books and going with a different genre, because this is me right here. I'm like gesturing to the books I've set on the floor. I hope that you guys will be participating in this Chills and Thrills readathon with me. I cannot wait to see your videos and see what scary books you're going to be reading and to hear about them, because I am always looking for scary and horror recommendations to add to my TBR list, because I absolutely adore them. So yeah, recommendations, send them my way. I'm your girl because I want to read them. That is all for this video. Add me on Goodreads, add me on Twitter, add me on Instagram, and I will talk to you guys later.